Our project is called the North Philadelphia Peace Park, located at 2226 West Jefferson Street in Philadelphia, PA. We're the Thomas Jefferson University Retail Division of the Solar Decathlon. The North Philadelphia Peace Park is an existing park located on Jefferson Street in the neighborhood of Sharswood of North Philadelphia. This site was once trash-filled lots, until local Sharswood residents created Peace Park in 2012 by developing a garden in the shape of a peace sign. Since then, the North Philadelphia Peace Park has been utilized by its local community to expand cultural and horticultural advances to the region through local events. The basic needs of this community are not being met. This is seen through the disproportionate integrated green space, erosion of community trust and cohesion, inequitable access to education and knowledge, socioeconomic barriers, and neoliberal globalization logics and effects. This region in Philadelphia is a part of a largely underfunded area that is mostly owned by the local housing authority, Philadelphia Housing Authority. This has led to low local development and an influx of gentrification in the area. PHA has recently made a commitment to allowing Peace Park to not only remain, but expand across the whole block. Peace Park and the local Sharswood area strives to maintain and grow a community-centered space that can provide a home for its cultural, horticultural, and educational events. This project will serve the local community through repurposing current buildings on site and providing produce to the local Sharswood community, which is in a food desert. Based on the team's analysis, the walkability assessment shows lack in markets and/or grocery stores within the community. This makes it very difficult for residents to have access to fresh produce. The Peace Park will be able to greatly impact its local community and provide a space for community events, gardens, and market space. This will bring economic influx to the local community and provide residents with a space to enjoy. Eliminating the stress of affording food for a local community will give Sharswood residents one less challenge to face.
The design goals for this project fall around our 10 core values of ethical housing design, which include the centralization of small-scale communities, urban permaculture, expanding the access of greener urban landscapes, housing security, aging in place, regenerative architecture techniques, shared spaces, site-specific design, and multi-generational and multicultural interactions, which will all help to create a new ecological dialogue through community-based design of urban agricultural retail.
The team will transform and integrate unused buildings for the benefit of the community, as well as maximize agricultural food production, retail space, energy production, and recreational areas. All of this will be accomplished while developing a stronger connection between the natural environment and the local community. The architectural language will be utilitarian, but provide the scaffolding for community customization and expression, not only via the aforementioned murals, but also through materiality and the use of local community retail.
The site is programmed to include several activity types such as outdoor agriculture, arts and design classes, a library filled with history and sustainability books, a community-run kitchen, and an indoor flexible market. The interior design is a mix of Afrofuturism aesthetics as well as a modern utility. The appliances in the buildings consist of refrigerators, toilets, sinks, bathtubs, and a full commercial kitchen setup. Allowing all of the interior spaces to be flexible, besides the kitchen, the community is at liberty to use the buildings to suit their current needs while being able to adapt for the future.
The site plan of North Philadelphia Peace Park starts at the top left, which is the retrofitted building, which will become the retail space. Below that is the existing mechanic shops, followed by a cluster of buildings in the middle, which consist of the community kitchen building, outdoor patio, which we call the buffer zone, and an educational building. To the right of that is the cube, which is an experimental vertical garden, and below those are the scaffolding experimental vertical gardens. There is an Afrofuturism outdoor pavilion space for community gathering, and the building on the far right is considered the arts building, where there will be design and art-based community classes, and there are raised beds throughout the site. The first floor of the retail building is where the indoor produce market exists. At the permaculture community kitchen is the area where all of the produce and agricultural goods from the site will be processed, cooked, stored, and created for them to be sold in the indoor produce market. In the educational building, where there is a co-working library and a multi-use education and arts classroom area, is where we will foster the community to be able to produce the goods for and learn about the goods being used in the produce market. The very far right building is a multi-use community space as well. The second floors of the pre-existing townhomes of the site also have multi-use formats. On the left side building above the community kitchen is an existing tenant on the second and third floors who is planning to stay there. In the educational building on the second and third floors, there are business incubation spaces that can help foster new wealth and new learning. And in the far right building, there is a multi-use therapy suite that will be used for group sessions as well as private sessions.
Our proposal will give the community a safe space to interact with each other, resulting in a stronger community alliance. Community members will develop a stronger connection to the natural environment by implementing and maximizing the cultivation and growth of vegetation within our buildings. Incorporating the use of natural materials such as wood and harvesting food indoors will bring an overall organic feel to the user. Implementing operable structures that open to the outdoors when weather permits will allow our building to directly respond to the experiential environmental qualities the site has to offer. We will bring man and nature closer together by maximizing natural light and natural ventilation whenever possible. We will strive to lower our embodied environmental impact by restoring and repurposing existing buildings and/or materials on site. By giving preference to local materials and local labor, we will be helping the community and the environment as a whole. The community will be directly involved in the construction process. Our ultimate environmental goal is to maximize rainwater collection, solar energy, and potentially wind energy production on site.
Durability and resilience. The existing buildings are made primarily of brick and CMU. These building materials will last a lot longer than what a traditional developer in this area would use, typically stick frame. The structural lattice work we are providing via the scaffolding will create additional protective layer around the external surfaces of the buildings, extending their lifespan and making maintenance much easier and less expensive. Biofiber will be used in place of the existing insulation. Biofiber is rated at R40. With its ease of construction capability, it can be easily used in place of the existing insulation and fit in between the existing wooden studs. Biofiber cleans the conditions of CO2. In addition, biofiber also acts as a moisture barrier, combating the harsh humidity climate that will occur. The wall detail shown here gives an idea of what the wall assembly is made of. Starting from the exterior, you have the existing brick. Then you have an air gap before meeting the new biofiber insulation that is placed in between the existing wood studs and then finished with new drywall at the interior. The roof detail shown here illustrates the existing roof structure, a new air barrier at the roof deck, 2 layers of rigid insulation, a 1/2-inch coverboard attached mechanically through insulation to roof structure, a leak detection grid, adhered waterproofing membrane, a root barrier, protection and water retention mat, a tray system, a filter sheet, a growth medium, and the green roof planting. We are implementing a scaffolding structure that will be engineered to become a permanent structure. The building envelope of the retail and garage building consists of CMU structure and the remaining buildings are made up of a brick structure with the use of the biofiber insulation. This is a detail of a scaffolding system consisting of 3 modules: the base module, the mid module, and the top module. It represents how this system can be made permanent by adding footings to it, and how we've converted it to be able to accommodate for vertical farming, as well as the collection of energy through solar panels. The 3 renderings represent the 3 different phases that the scaffolding system will go through. The first phase, or phase 1, is completely open system, just accommodated for vertical growing, which will be able to expand the growing season by a little bit. Phase 2 will introduce polyethylene to cover up the structure and make it an enclosed system to expand the growing season for a couple months. And finally, phase 3 would introduce LED lights for indoor farming, which would allow them to extend the growing season to all year round. When it comes to energy performance, photovoltaics will be the main source of energy to the entire block and to sell the excess back to the grid. The collection and storage of rainwater on site will provide for irrigation systems and the needs of the block. Along with on-site agriculture growing, the intention is for the site to become self-sufficient. To lower the EUI of the current state of the site, we've implemented a VRF with ERV centralized system for all the west side buildings on site, and use passive ventilation with heat recovery from the kitchen exhaust and gray water. We're also adding R37 biofiber insulation, which will also help lower the EUI considerably, as shown in the following ECN chart. The following charts represent the EUIs broken down by property type, as well as the combined EUI for the whole site. The site EUI has been reduced to 21 kBTU per square foot per year before photovoltaics. Thanks to the new HVAC system, the high energy consumption of the commercial kitchen is also being utilized for transferring heat to other buildings, which helps lower the site EUI as well as the sourced EUI, keeping it at 37 kBTU per square foot per year. We have 144 solar panels on site with a possibility of expansion. The solar panels not only cover all the site's needs, but are also able to generate 130 kBTU per square foot per year. With that energy, not only do we meet the site's needs, but we can sell the excess energy produced back to the grid, as well as providing for the scaffolding system energy demands. The structures designed to hold the solar panels are angled at 25 degrees and maximize the number of solar panels per area, while avoiding being shaded by neighboring panels, maximizing their performance. The structure also cantilevers over the edge of the buildings to provide shade on the summer months for the windows located on top of the buildings. These hourly schedules are based on programmatic functions of the spaces and the load of people throughout the day. They represent the energy being used by the different systems throughout the year, which helps us identify the times of the day that require the most energy, and where that energy consumption can be reduced. This water diagram gives you an idea of the area that we are utilizing to collect for the building cistern. We are capturing roof runoff water, and the water will be housed within our cisterns located on the roofs of the buildings. The water collected in the cisterns will be used for irrigation. Placing the cisterns on the roof will allow us to use gravity to distribute the water from the cistern throughout our system into the buildings. The stormwater runoff is managed in the basin. The following charts represent the annual water balance for the Peace Park based on the assumptions shown below. This diagram shows how energy moves throughout the site, starting by being collected by the solar panels and stored in batteries, then used in the buildings and the scaffolding, which is also able to generate energy on its own. The line is also connected to a meter, which is connected to PECO, to be able to supply with more energy when needed and also sell back to the grid. The lighting plan gives you an idea of the layout of the light fixtures as well as the locations of the outlets and switches. The lighting fixtures that we have spec'd are recessed downlights by Boundary and a pendant fixture by Rich Brilliant Willing. The HVAC strategy implemented will be a VRF with an ERV centralized system for all of the west side buildings on site, plus passive ventilation with heat recovery coming from the kitchen exhaust and gray water. Also working on a combined system that will move warmth and cool air from building to building, reducing the EUI. For the building that sits on the east side of the block, we will create a VRF mini split system. We plan to preserve the existing zoning on site, so no variances are required. The market is CMX2, the mechanic shop is CMX2, and the remaining buildings on site are RM1. In addition, we have calculated the startup cost for one scaffolding unit to be approximately $2,760. We have estimated the total renovation costs of the existing buildings. We have come up with a total cost of $312,000.
Throughout the following sections, you will be able to see the connection between exterior and interior, as both programs lean on each other to successfully run the site. This section cuts through the educational building, showing its program as well as vertical circulation, and how you can experience the site at different levels. In this full site section, you can observe how the whole project comes together, integrating performance throughout the site while maintaining open spaces and the essence of the park itself. The community has been heavily involved in developing the program that you can see in this section. Therefore, this is a project to be built for the community and by the community.
The integrated performance of the site speaks to our 10 core values of ethical housing and community-based design. Site-specific raised beds and the scaffolding system creates a space not just for urban permaculture, but structures for photovoltaics, wind turbines, and water collection systems to maximize the site's goals. Aging in place standards are met with the existing mechanic being allowed to stay in business. Housing security is met with the existing tenant in one of the row homes being allowed to stay. Shared spaces are seen in all of the retrofitted interior uses like the community permaculture kitchen, co-working libraries, and educational meeting zones. The centralization of small-scale communities is seen in the Afrofuturism outdoor pavilion because it was designed by a local community member for outdoor public gatherings. Multicultural and multi-generational components are scattered throughout the entire site with the Philly Mural Arts programs, and regenerative architecture techniques are used in the adaptive reuse of the existing buildings, ethical energy, water collection and consumption, and urban agricultural scaled to the entire site. Overall, the most important aspect of our project and design values is the creation of a new ecological dialogue through community-based wealth, all gained by urban agriculture that is highlighted by the retail farmers market of North Philadelphia Peace Park. We thank you for this opportunity to co-design with an amazing and engaged community in hopes for a more systems integrated and greener future. Thank you again.